friends of the vinyl community. It's Brian from Brian's Vinyl Records, and it is that time of year again, the beginning of a brand new year, which means it's time for Vinyl Tag. Love it. If you've not done a vinyl tag before, I highly recommend it. Check it out. There are, I think, 20 questions asked, and I'll leave those below so you can pick them up and do your own vinyl tag video. But it's a lot of fun. You get to learn all sorts of different things about different people in the vinyl community, their musical tastes, their interests, things like that. And it's just a good way to also find different artists to look up or learn about from other people. So let's get started with question number 1, a discovery in 2020. So I picked out 2 of them, and they both kind of deal with the same genre. It's a country Americana style, and the first one I'm going to talk about is Jamie Wyatt. Phenomenal. I found her through Instagram advertisements, and her record label had been promoting her record on Instagram, and I thought, okay, well, I see this all the time. It looks interesting. I'm going to check it out, and I'm glad I did. Became a fan, and I bought her EP as well. The second one in the same vein is Nikki Lane. Really, really good Americana artist. Good country songs, good songwriting. Love her vocal style, her vocals, just phenomenal. And so someone had recommended this one to me, and so I bought one of them when I saw it on Amazon Warehouse for dirt cheap, and then just bought her the rest of her catalog as well. Just fantastic. The next one is a quarantine buy, and so for this I took it as meaning to something that you bought while you were on lockdown or stay-at-home orders, or whatever you want to call it, whatever your state decided to call it. But yes, I went with albums. So I was lucky enough that at the beginning of the stay-at-home orders, retail was able to do curbside pickup and things like that, and my local record store was doing curbside pickup of things, and so I pre-ordered this album from them and got it right away. Super pumped with it. And this is Jason Isbell and the 400 Unit Reunions, his latest album. This is the indie exclusive that comes on the Dreamsicle Orange vinyl. Super good album. So that's my pick for quarantine buy, but there are so many others that I bought. Next up is a LP you want to find in 2021. Well, I want to find this Firehouse, a self-titled album. Is one of my favorites from high school years. I listened to it a lot with my buddies, and I have it on cassette, obviously, and I have it on CD. I would love to get it on vinyl. Very difficult to find and not cheap to find, so crossing fingers that it'll get a vinyl reissue maybe coming up. We'll see. So that is that. Next up, a box set. So this is one I got, I believe it was this year in 2020. It might have been at the end of last year, but Megadeth's Warheads on 4 Heads. This is kind of like a greatest hits type package on 4 LPs. There is a cool album sleeves for each album, and I believe there is a short little booklet that is included with stuff in there. But yes, a lot of people not a fan of this because they use a lot of the remasters that Dave did in, I think it was 2004, where he went back and re-recorded some of the vocals and the guitars on some of the songs to clean them up a little bit. I don't mind that. I like both versions, obviously, but Megadeth being my favorite, I don't mind having either one on there. I've got the CDs for the old stuff, and if the new vinyl has the newer retakes on them, I'll deal with that. But pretty cool box set. Really enjoy listening to the songs on there. Next up is a concept album. So I'm not into concept albums per se. I don't really pay attention to what is a concept album or not, but I do know that this is a concept album, and I haven't really taken the time to sit and listen to figure out what the story is or the concept is, but I know it's a concept album because everybody calls it that. This is Operation Mindcrime by Queensryche. Very lucky to have found this for dirt cheap. This is an expensive album to get if you want to get one that sounds very good. I was able to pick it up. It had a slight warp in it that I was able to, it was more like a bend in the record for song 1 that I was able to shrink down with my vinyl flat and make it listenable again. And so there's a little bit of noise that occurs at the beginning on both sides, but those are mostly like intercom stuff and ambient noise that they do at the beginning, so it doesn't really affect the actual songs themselves. So to me, this was a huge score this year to find this, and make it work and sound great. I think I paid like $15 for this, which this is a $90 album, so not a bad deal. Up next is an album where an artist or band changed directions. I went with Taylor Swift, and I picked the Red album. So she didn't go full pop on this album yet, but she started to. The songs We Are Never Getting Back Together and I Knew You Were Trouble When You Walked In are just two examples of switching from that country sound that she was known for up until then into a more pop and oriented sound. And after this one, on the next album, she went full-fledged pop after that. But I consider this to be the one where she started to change that direction that she was going in. Next up is a white label promo. So I don't have a whole lot of white label promos, to be honest with you. I don't hunt them or look for them, but I happen to fall into two of them. The first one being a single. This is Britney Spears' Me and Against the Music with Madonna, and it comes on the white label promo there. And the other one this one I was given in a box of records. This is Kenny Loggins' Celebrate Me Home. And it's got not only got the radio station sticker on the front, but it is also that white label promo as well. So that's pretty cool. I don't have a whole lot of white label promos. I got a lot of gold stamp promos, but not a whole lot of white label promos. Next one is a compilation album, and I picked this one up at Target this year. This is Motown Ones, a compilation of really, really good Motown stuff. And my wife really loves that 50s and 60s music sound, and that she's a big fan of those. So this is right up her alley. Motown Ones, a really, really good compilation, and comes on a really cool gold vinyl as well. All right, next up is an album that tells a story. Okay, so kind of like a concept album, I guess, but a little different. I picked this one. This is new this year, and it's absolutely fantastic. This is Taylor Swift's Folklore, and she tells 3 stories in this one. She breaks it up into 3 different chapters, which you can find on her Instagram page, or probably her Facebook page and Twitter as well, what the chapters that she broke them up into are. But they tells 3 different stories throughout this record, and it is really, really well done. So, Folklore by Taylor Swift. The next question is an album that needs a vinyl pressing. Well, I got kind of my wish this year, and that is this one, Motley Crue's self-titled album from 1994. This, unfortunately, is a vinyl pressing, but it is an unofficial pressing, so it's not an official Motley Crue release. I think Motley Crue needs to suck it up and put this out on vinyl for the fans that are out there to purchase it. It would be nice to have an official copy. This sounds absolutely great, so if they don't ever do it, it's fine. I've got a copy on vinyl that sounds awesome, but I'd really like to get a official release that maybe, just maybe, has the correct artwork in it and doesn't have Vince Neil on the back of an album that doesn't have Vince Neil on it. That might be a novel concept. All right, next up is a common and an uncommon album. So for this one, I picked Alanis Morissette. Of course, everybody knows and probably has this one, Jagged Little Pill from 1995. A really great album. One of them that just finally got a reissue because it was only issued one time before is this one here. This is Havoc and the Bright Lights. And up until this past year, this was her last album that she put out out to the world, and it's a really, really good album. MOV did a repressing of it on this cool turquoise color, and it sounds phenomenal, of course. So that's one that a lot of people probably do not have in their collection. Next is to show an EP. So I went with this one. This is Huey Lewis and the News, and this is called Weather, and this is their probably final album due to Huey's hearing issues and loss and some of the stuff that he's going through physically, but it was a 7-song EP. They were in the middle of writing and recording a brand new album, and then all the medical issues that Huey suffered came in, and they had to just put it out as an EP instead. So really, really good album. Really enjoy it. So check that out, Huey Lewis and the News, Weather. Next question is a girl group. So girl group, I went with the band Larkin Poe. phenomenal. These two are sisters, bluesy, southern rocky, country, all sorts of stuff mixed into one. Just a great duo. She plays the guitar and she plays a lap steel, among other things, and just really good. I picked up a couple of their albums so far, and this is the most recent one I picked up. Just really good stuff. So if you're into that bluesy southern rock style, these girls are absolutely phenomenal. Highly recommend checking them out. The next question is an album cover you love. So there's just so many cool album covers out there. You can look at Maiden, you can look at Priest, you can look at, gosh, there's just so much cool stuff out there. But I was going through and I just thought this one hit me well, and this is Black Sabbath's Dehumanizer. Just a killer album from 1992, I believe it is. Black Sabbath with Dio as the singer, and yeah, just a really cool cover on there. Grim Reaper kind of taking the humanity out of you. Neat little album, great album actually. Cool cover. Next up is an album that you listen to the most. This was hard for me to figure out. I listen to a lot of stuff, and I do listen to a lot of things multiple times in rotation. I kind of did a short dig through my posts on Instagram and Facebook, and this one popped out as being played quite a bit. This is Jason Isbell and the 400 Unit, Here We Rest. A really great album from Jason Isbell, and just I really enjoy it. So I think this one, I found posted probably 6 or 7 times, so we'll go with that. I listen to a lot of things a lot of times, so yeah, hard to pick that one out. Next up is an album you had to get an OG copy of, and for me it's none. I'm not picky when it comes to original pressing, later pressing, or reissues, current reissues. As long as it sounds good, that's all I care. I don't need to have an original pressing of anything, as long as I have one that I like and sounds good to my ears. So I'm not picky about that, so I don't really have anything that I actually went out and sought an OG of. There's just nothing there. Last album that you purchased, still sealed, is Soul Soundtrack. I picked this up from Target because scored by Trent Reznor. I think that'll be really awesome. So I have not seen the movie yet. I've heard it's fantastic, and I will be seeing the movie because my kids love that kind of stuff, and my wife's a huge Disney nut. So we will be watching it, but I picked this up. It was dirt cheap. I think it was like $16.99 at Target. So we'll see. Next up is an album they don't get. So this one I think is qualifies for that. This is Def Leppard's Slang album. So Def Leppard is Def Leppard. You know Def Leppard when you hear Def Leppard. They don't sway or change from their song or sound very often, but they did here. This was, gosh, what year was this one put out? I can't even remember, to be honest with you, but I do know that when it came out, it was Vivian Campbell's very first album. It was the first one after the guitar player Steve Clark passed away, and yeah, it was a different kind of direction. The world was different at that time in music. Grunge and alternative rock had taken over the airwaves. British wave of heavy metal, hard rock, all that stuff had kind of been thrown at the wayside. So they tried something different. They went with a little more of an alternative rock style on this, and it works really well. This is an absolutely great album. If you haven't heard it in a long time, you kind of heard it and put it away, come back to it because I think you'll really enjoy it. There's some great stuff on here, and yeah, just a really good album. So Def Leppard, Slang, awesome album. All right, next up we have a punk album, or the closest thing you have to it. So I don't have any punk in my collection, believe it or not. It's just not a type of music I ever got into, but this is going to be the closest you have to it. This is hangs out in the alternative rock section of things, but they are definitely a more punk influence alternative rock. This is the Offspring Americana, and I think you could probably pick up any other albums and choose that, but this is the most recent one I picked up, so we're going to go with this. It's listed as rock and with a subgenre of punk, so I guess it qualifies. Offspring Americana. And the very last question is favorite 2020 reissue. I love when they put out albums that have been hard to get, and I love when they sound awesome. And 2 albums I think qualified for this as sounding amazing. And we'll start here with Paul McCartney's reissue of Flaming Pie. Man, I wanted this forever. $200 or more on Discogs for an original pressing. No chance I was going to ever pick that up. I just refused to pay that kind of money for one album. And then they announced this anniversary edition. I was super excited about it, and it finally came out, and it is everything I would hope to be. It's a half-speed master done by Abbey Road Studios, and it sounds awesome. So super pumped with it. Great packaging as well. They had multiple different versions of the album available to you. I just went with the simple one. I think it's 2 LP? Yeah, 2 LP set, and I'm super happy with it. Great album. Great album. And the second one is one I've wanted for so long. I actually went and bought an original Korean pressing of this, I think it was last year, and then they announced they were going to put it out for Record Store Day. It was my number one to want on Record Store Day. Skid Row's Slave to the Grind. Such a killer album. And this reissue is absolutely phenomenal. It's hard cards, hard stock gatefold. It just feels good. It's glossy. It's beautiful, and it's pressed on a really pretty red vinyl. Everything about this is done just absolutely perfect. And so props to Run Out Groove for this one. They did a great job with it, and definitely one of my favorite pickups of 2020, especially on reissues. Just phenomenal. So hopefully they will do a lot more of these hard to get 90s metal albums, because I've got a lot on my list that I want. So there you have it. That is my vinyl tag for 2021. I hope you enjoyed this presentation. Check out below. I will leave all the questions for you to answer for yourself. Do your own vinyl tag. Just hashtag vinyl tag 2021. Check out other people in the vinyl community and their vinyl tags. It's a fun time of year. I always enjoy watching people's vinyl tag videos, because you just learn all sorts of different things and different interests that people have, and it's just a lot of fun to do. So that's it for this episode of my channel. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. Until next time, keep spinning vinyl, friends.